If I'm eating food, I'll save the best for last. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat around it to the one part that I really want to eat. I'm gonna save that. I'm a delayed, you know what I'm saying, gratification. I'm that type of person. So like, I'm literally like, all right, I will party later. I work hard now, so the second half of my life, I can do whatever the fuck I want. That's been my mentality. It's like, I'm not gonna trick off my early years for partying and then worry about struggling, how I'm gonna make it, how I'm gonna take care of my family, how I'm gonna take care of everybody else. Like, that's not gonna be me. I'm gonna grind it out now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna set up the foundation so I can enjoy myself later. That's always been my mentality.
But most importantly, provide financial support to my parents who would sacrifice their lives for me. Delayed gratification is the practice of resisting the temptation for immediate rewards and instead choosing to invest time and effort into long-term goals. One of the critical benefits of delayed gratification is the development of resilience, strengthening our ability to overcome obstacles, endure challenges, and persevere through setbacks. Delayed gratification allows us to gain clarity about our goals and aspirations. It forces us to reflect on what truly matters and identify the steps needed to achieve those goals. It teaches us to control our impulses and make conscious choices that serve our long-term interests. By delaying instant gratification, we become masters of our desires rather than slaves to our impulses. Delayed gratification teaches us the art of patience, allowing us to wait for the right opportunities to make thoughtful decisions, enabling us to embrace the journey rather than obsess over the destination.
When we receive rewards, even if we give ourselves rewards for something, we tend to associate less pleasure with the actual activity itself that evoked the reward. Now, that might seem counterintuitive, but that's just the way that these dopaminergic circuits work. And now understanding these peaks and baselines in dopamine, this should make sense. If you get a peak in dopamine from a reward, it's going to lower your baseline, and the cognitive interpretation is that you didn't really do the activity because you enjoyed the activity, you did it for the reward. Now, this doesn't mean all rewards of all kinds are bad, but it's also important to understand that dopamine controls our perception of time. When and how much dopamine we experience is the way that we carve up what we call our experience of time.
It took me a long time to understand what was meant in the Old Testament by sacrifice, and which is strange because once I figured it out, it seemed bloody obvious. It seemed like, oh yeah, obviously that's what it means. I knew that, of course, at least implicitly, I knew of the modern usage of the idea of sacrifice. Everyone understands that motif, is that if you want to make things better in the future, then you make sacrifices in the present. And maybe you even do that multi-generationally. In fact, you most definitely do if you're a good parent. I mean, and I would say that's really particularly typical of immigrants, right? Because immigrants often come from terrible places and have to undergo terrible things to come to a new community where they get a rough reception and have a hard time getting their life going. And a big part of the reason that they do it is to make their lives of their children better. And luckily, when they come to Canada, usually given where they came from, that actually works, because where they came from is worse and here is better, even though immigrants often have to struggle to get on their feet again. They have to learn a new language and become enculturated and face the fact that they're not part of the mainstream culture. And well, many of you know the whole story. So the idea that you make sacrifices for the future and you make sacrifices for your children, and everyone understands that, and it's part of being responsible and mature and shouldering the burden of being properly. And you do that for yourself too. If you're disciplined, in fact, that's almost what discipline means. Discipline means that you're capable of making sacrifices, because you're not disciplined if you just do something you want more rather than something that you're doing. That's not discipline. That's maybe that works, and great. If your life is working out that way, great, man. But that isn't discipline. Discipline is when you want to do something right now, and instead you think, no, I'm going to forestall my gratification, maybe forever, but certainly for a very long period of time.